If you grew up too fast, you probably heard things like, "You're so mature for your age," or "You've always been the responsible one." On the surface, that sounds like praise. But underneath it, there's often a story of carrying too much too early. Being mature before you were ready is usually misunderstood as being strong or independent, when in reality, it can come from having to adapt to situations that didn't leave much room for being a kid. Here's the reframe most people miss. Growing up too fast can leave scars, yes, but it also shapes rare inner strengths that not everyone develops. These aren't loud, flashy traits. They're quiet strengths that show up in how you think, feel, and move through the world. If this is you, here are 5 rare strengths you probably carry. 1. You're emotionally perceptive in ways most people aren't. Psychology shows that kids who had to read the emotional room early often develop strong emotional awareness. You might notice shifts in tone, mood, or tension that others completely miss. You can walk into a space and instantly feel what's going on beneath the surface. Maybe you grew up learning to sense when someone was stressed, angry, or overwhelmed, because your safety or stability depended on it. As an adult, that can look like being deeply empathetic, a good listener, or the person people open up to without knowing why. The positive reframe is this: your sensitivity isn't weakness, it's emotional intelligence. You're tuned into people, which makes you naturally supportive, thoughtful in conflict, and gentle with others' feelings. The key is remembering you don't always have to be the emotional caretaker. You're allowed to be supported too. 2. You're reliable under pressure. Research indicates that people who took on adult responsibilities early often develop strong coping skills. When things get chaotic, you tend to stay calm. While others panic, you go into problem-solving mode. Maybe growing up, you were the one who handled things when adults were overwhelmed. Maybe you learned to manage your own emotions, your schedule, or even other people's needs. Now, in tough moments, you're the one others lean on because you don't fall apart easily. The positive reframe here is that your steadiness is a real strength. You're dependable, grounded, and capable when it counts. Just remembered, being strong doesn't mean you have to carry everything alone. It's okay to let yourself lean on others sometimes. Strength isn't about never needing help. It's about knowing when to accept it. 3. You're deeply self-aware. Psychology shows that early maturity often comes with early reflection. When you grow up too fast, you tend to spend more time in your own head, trying to understand what's happening around you and inside you. Over time, that turns into strong self-awareness. You might notice your patterns. You might be good at naming your feelings. You might reflect on your past, your triggers, and your growth. While this can sometimes feel like overthinking, it's also a powerful tool. The positive reframe is that your self-awareness gives you the ability to change. You're not stuck in autopilot. You can notice what hurts you, what helps you, and what you want to do differently. That's a rare strength. Many people go through life reacting without reflection. You're someone who can grow intentionally. 4. You value depth over surface-level connection. Research suggests that people who grew up carrying emotional weight often crave real connection later in life. Small talk can feel draining. You're not interested in shallow bonds. You want relationships that feel safe, honest, and meaningful. Maybe you don't have a huge circle, but the people you let in matter to you deeply. You might take longer to trust, but when you do, you're loyal and emotionally present. You show up in ways that feel grounding to others. The positive reframe is that your need for depth is a strength, not a flaw. In a world that often moves fast and stays on the surface, you bring presence, you bring realness. You create spaces where people can be themselves. That's rare. That's valuable. 5. You have a quiet inner resilience. Psychology shows that adapting early can build inner resilience, even if it came from tough circumstances. You've learned how to keep going. You've learned how to recover. You've learned how to rebuild yourself after emotional weight. This doesn't mean you're unbreakable. It means you've survived moments that asked more of you than they should have. And you're still here. You've developed a kind of inner strength that doesn't need to prove itself. It just shows up when life gets heavy. The positive reframe is this: your resilience isn't about being hardened. It's about being able to move forward while staying human. You can feel deeply and still stand back up. That balance is rare. If you grew up too fast, it probably wasn't fair. You deserved more softness, more ease, more room to just be. But the strengths you carry now aren't accidents. They're real. They're shaped by your experiences, and they can become tools for building a life that finally feels safe, meaningful, and yours. You're allowed to soften now. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to choose joy without guilt. Your strength doesn't disappear when you slow down. It actually gets healthier. If this resonated with you, you're not alone. There are so many quiet strengths in people who had to grow up early, and we talk about them here. Subscribe for more personality insights, and remind yourself what you went through shaped you, but it doesn't limit you.